In this example, it says state whether the following statement is true or false and explain why. If the statement is false, state the true change. If the national economy shrank at an annual rate of 8% per year for 4 consecutive years, then the economy shrank by 32% over the 4-year period. So this actually is false because when you take 8% and you continue to decrease it, each time you decrease it, you're taking 8% of a different base. So it's going to be a little bit different than 32%. So we're going to start with 100%, the full 100%. If there is an 8% decrease, if I knock off that 8%, then really what we're doing is we're finding 92% each time over that 4-year period for each of those 4 years. So whatever the original base is, we're going to continue to take 92% because it's decreased by 8%. All right, so if we start with 100, I like to use 100 because we're dealing with percents, but you can start off with whatever number you want. If you start with 100% and I take 92%, that means I'm finding the 8% decrease because we're taking 92%. So I'm going to take 92% of 100. That's for the first year. Then I have to multiply by 92% again, 0.92 for the second year, then for the third year, then for the fourth year. Now, when I multiply that all together, we're going to get 71.639,296. So for each of those years, when we bump it down by 8%, we went from 100, which was our starting point, to 71.639296. Now, so it's asking how much it actually decreased by overall for the whole 4 years. So if I look to see what that difference is, if I take 100, which is what I started with, minus 71.639296, what I'm going to get is 28.360,704. Now, so if I wanted to find out what it increased for an individual year, I would take 100 times the 0.92, and that would just give me the first year. Then if I take 0.92 again separately, that would give me for the second year. What we're doing here is we're doing all 4 years at once and then seeing what that difference is. So because we used it out of 100, because we're doing percents, that means it decreased from 100% down to 71.639296%, which is a difference of 28.36. Now the direction says to round it to the nearest tenth, so this becomes 28.4, and there's our final answer. Now, you want to multiply it for each year. So if this said for a 3-year period, you would only multiply that 0.92 3 times. So you can see that overall for the full 4 years, we didn't actually lose 32% or go down by 32%. We actually went down a little bit more because when we take a percent of a base that's changed, it's a little bit different. Way that you could have done this, it takes more steps, but sometimes this makes more sense to people. If I start with 100 and I decrease by 8%, that means I'm going to find 8% of 100, which is 8, and then decrease it. So I have 100 minus 8, and that gives me 92. So at the end of the first year, we have 92. Then we repeat the process. If I take 92 and I find 8% of 92 to subtract it again, 8% of 92 is 7.36. So then when I take 92 minus 7.36, we're going to have 84.64. So then the beginning of the third year, we have 84.64, and we want to find 8%. So I'm going to multiply by 0.08. Sorry, this is messy. Writing with the mouse is a little bit harder than with the pencil. Okay, so if I find 84.64 times 0.08, that's 6.7712. So then I have to take 84.64 and subtract 6.7712. So at the end of the third year, we're going to get, let's see, 7.8688. Okay, beginning of the fourth year, now we're starting with 77.8688. I multiply by 0.08, and I get 6.229504. So now I have to subtract that from the 77.8688. Okay, when I subtract that, I'm going to get 71.63926. So at the end of the fourth year, this is our ending value. We started with 100 and we ended up with 71.639296. Now, if we want to see if that difference is 32 or not, I would take 100 minus that 71.639296 number. And when I subtract that from 100 to see what the difference is, we get 28.360704. So it's the same exact answer we got when we did the first method. We just did it in more steps, and that's fine. Some people are more comfortable doing it this way to see what the change is each year, and that's totally fine. The other method is called the complement method because you're just finding 92% 4 times in a row instead of having to subtract it off. So either way is fine, and you'll come out with the same answer each time. Just make sure you wait to the end around so that you don't have any rounding errors.